He's not what?
NFL guy. No, I think
No.
okay. So I'm just going to say it. He says he's a virgin. He's an NFL player. He was a star football player.
Oh, okay.
Man says he's a virgin.
Hey,
He goes on his virtue. Are we buying that?
there was actually a Kansas State football player on there 3 seasons ago, and he said he was a virgin like too. So
Unless he went to BYU, I ain't believing any of that. And even if he did go to BYU, I ain't believing that because some of them guys got in trouble.
Yeah, I ain't buying it. I don't know. Look, well, the problem is, and this is the problem that you know what? I actually at first I didn't believe him, and then as the interview went on, I swapped problems with him. I no longer didn't believe him. I then started to believe him, but he became annoying because he did this thing where. Because this dude on this show, Ryan Seacrest or whatever, was asking him these questions, and the guy was kind of getting annoyed by it, and he was playing like over the top secretive, and it kind of just felt like some 6th grade stuff. And I was like, I kind of believe you now, bro, but now I like you even less.
yeah.
Like I don't know. I know it's not sports related at all. I hung in the fact that he was an NFL player, so I kind of tied it in there. But it just annoyed me.
That's
the whole
sports
thing
Well,
to me. The whole
let
thing
me-
just annoyed me because first I thought he was lying, and then he came across as pompous, and I was like, I don't like this guy.
Let me tell you something about The Bachelor, okay? It is watched by millions upon millions of girls, my wife included, and they are praising this guy for dating 25 girls. But if this were to happen in the real world, I'm dating 2 girls. My wife is going off the handles. So, Bachelor, crazy, hypocritical. Let's talk some sports, man. Let's talk some sports.
Hey, the way you explained it, Mike, this is a sport. This is a sport at its truest.
Hey, he is playing the game to the fullest, and millions of women are applauding him for it. But if it were to happen to like them, they would be, oh, he's nothing but a cheater and a liar, and like they'll end up on 60 Minutes for stabbing him or something.
So clearly, Mike's got some other problems that he's hiding behind. But
No.
Billy, would you rather? I would rather take a linebacker to the dome than date 25 women.
Oh,
yeah, that's tough, man. I got one,
obviously-
and it's tough. It's tough.
Right.
You know,
Even if
25 different personalities.
Mr. Hatton speaking from experience over there. It's very tough. It's very tough.
even if they was all okay with it, I would rather catch a ball over the middle and have Ed Reed and Brian Dawkins hit you at the same time, only to have Ray Lewis come up and body slam you, and then have
Is it that bad?
LT DDT you, then have to deal with the 25 women.
And they're all crazy.
Mike's point-
Let's be honest. They're crazy women out there.
and that's the thing, because we've completely derailed the entire show with this, but anybody who's watched this, and Mike, you can get this, and this is why it's so popular. To Mike's point, the millions of women watching at home, they have their own agenda, but the people on the show, the 25 women on the show, have one or two reasons. They're either desperate for love, which makes them crazy, or they're desperate for attention, which makes them crazy.
Everybody wants their 15 minutes of like fame, and this is where they're getting it. Yeah.
Crazier.
Anytime you, and I don't want to sound like I'm just saying, oh, women are crazy. I'll put this with human nature. Anytime
women are crazy.
Women are crazy.
Women are crazy. You got to say that. But anytime anybody is desperate for anything, they are going to become crazy. So when you find 25 desperate people, it just, I mean, it's not
to mention you're getting money to be on this show as well.
you know.
Anytime a woman
Yeah.
meets you in a well suit for the first time, crazy. Anytime a woman like rides on a camel and puts a lei around your neck, crazy. Just say, hey, my name's Samantha. Nice to meet you. Hopefully, I can take your V card.
Anytime a woman hops out of a limo dressed as a giant sloth, crazy.
That was freaking weird.
So,
It took her like 20 minutes to walk up that 10 feet. It was ridiculous. All right. Can we talk sports
anyway,
now? Let's talk some sports.
We were talking sports. I don't know what's wrong with you, Mike. Mike just sounded jealous that he couldn't date the 25 women. But
I'm happily married. Very happily married.
Billy, he sounded happy-ish. He sounded like he was missing about 24 other women to be truly happy.
There,
so you better hope your wife
there is a reason why I'm
Mike.
moving to Utah.
Okay, then.
Polygamist.
So, Mike, come on, man. All right, guys. The show today is going to be simple. We know what this weekend holds. Not just playoffs, Super Bowl contenders are coming. We're going to start with the Saturday games. We're going to work our way through the weekend's games. Saturday, first off, Mike, we're going to start with you on this one because I know this is the big one to you. Your Chiefs hosting the 6th seed, but still the hottest team right now, Indianapolis Colts. Who you got? Why? Mike.
Okay, so let me give you guys some intel that I've been digging up here on Arrowhead Stadium like the last week or so. There was an article published in the Kansas City Star Monday or Tuesday. Apparently, Arrowhead is haunted by their old ex-coach. His name's Hank Starn. He was fired back in 1974, and ever since then, the Chiefs have not been to a Super Bowl. They have not won a Super Bowl. So there were some fans that went to Arrowhead, took a psychic medium there, and there was a negative energy there. And this psychic medium blessed the stadium, asking Hank to, hey, let us win a playoff game at home. First time since Joe Montana. So that was, 97 or 96? I can't remember for sure. Colts are 4-0 versus the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs. But this weekend, I'm gonna have a trend of breaking the trend. That's why I'm picking Kansas City to win this game. It is their time. We have blessed the stadium. We have got the negative energy out of Arrowhead Stadium, and we're going to get up early so the Colts cannot do what they've been doing and kind of, piddle-dicking around, having the ball for 60-70% of the game. They're going to have to score. That's why the Chiefs win. They score early. They score often. They can't be stopped.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to Chiefs as well on this. I know the playoff record 1-10 since 1994, 0-5 right there at Arrowhead. But I think it changes there, and I think it changes because of Patrick Mahomes. And I don't like Kansas City defense. But there is one thing you always have to account for. I've said it all year long on this show or any show that I've been on. Doesn't matter how good the defense is. If you can't keep up and score more points than the other team, you won't win the game. And the Kansas City Chiefs is one of the better teams at scoring the football. Now I know down the stretch they haven't been particularly good. They didn't finish the season like they started. But who can really? Who can really sustain that for 16 weeks? With guys being banged up, Tyreek Hill was banged up in that stretch. They lost Hunt. They had to go get Kelvin Benjamin. So
Sammy Watkins was out.
I really wouldn't expect a team that had changed. Defensive guys have been out. Eric Berry was out for most of the season. Houston was out for a lot of that time. I think they get it right in the playoffs against a mediocre Colts defense. Andrew Luck. In games like this, Andrew Luck is tend to going to be able to press a little bit more, and that's tend to when he throws, when he throws a lot of interceptions. He's going to have to keep up with Patrick Mahomes today or tomorrow, and I just don't think that they have enough.
Speaking of the Kansas City's defense there, Eric Berry has been ruled out for Saturday's game too, so everything is kind of weighing in the Colts' favor as far as the 4-0 playoff record. Chiefs not winning a home playoff game since 1996. So, I mean, everything is weighing into the Indianapolis Colts' favors, but Kansas City is going to pull it out.
Billy, you probably lose some points because you didn't use the word piddle dick around like Mike did. I don't know where.
Yeah, I don't know where that was in there.
I don't know where his vernacular came from this morning. 1850, probably the last time the Chiefs were successful.
1962.
Mike, you talk about negative energy being gone, and you could have did a seance, you could have did bless the stadium, whatever happened. But that is, and I think Patrick Mahomes is, if they win, it's going to be Patrick Mahomes, because if the Colts get out to that 14-point lead, which they've done the last 2 weeks, you want to talk negative energy. Being that Chiefs fan base being down 14-0, there's going to be negative energy, and it's going to be all on Patrick Mahomes. I think he can do it. I think the Chiefs are the better team, but I just feel like something's going to happen that's going to go in the Colts' favor. And I don't know if it's going to be something as silly as it's going to snow a foot, and these Colts are going to be out there in these all whites, and they can't see them running around.
It is supposed to snow.
I'm taking my heart, and I don't really know why. I just think Andrew Luck and this team gets it done. Give me the Colts by a field goal, Adam Vinatieri in the snow. He faces 2002 all over again. I'm even going to say 24-21 Colts.
Before we move on, that Matthew is a pretty good pick, because like I was actually wanting to pick the Colts, but I can't root against the Kansas City Chiefs, even if we're making sports bets or not. I can't pick against them. But if the Chiefs were to lose by that 24-21 pick there, do not be surprised if the defensive coordinator gets fired that night. Eddie Sutton would be
I think the defensive coordinator is gone anyways, Mike. I think you guys are going to find a defensive coordinator regardless.
Hopefully.
You can't have that type of offense and be that bad on defense. It just...
Especially with the talent that they have. I mean, there's no reason why they are that bad.
I think the defensive coordinator is gone regardless. And I think you guys will pick up, one of them linebacker edge rushers that's in the draft. But I think regardless of what happens tomorrow night, the defensive coordinator is gone. Now, Matthew, to your point, I don't know if we'll get that low score of a game. And I say that only because I don't think neither defense is going to be particularly good. And I don't think we'll see what we saw last week, where they jump out 21-0 and then they just don't score.
Yeah, they're going to have to put the pedal on the gas the whole time.
Yeah, and as we talked about it before, it'll definitely be New England or Kansas City, New England all over again. This is one game go home, and you're going to see all the stops from Patrick Mahomes today. I can get, or tomorrow, I can guarantee you. If he falls down 14-0, 21-0, he's going to have about a 5-6 touchdown game, because from that moment on, especially since there's no Kareem Hunt, it's going to be all air raid. So good luck trying to stop that, honestly. So I don't think it's going to be as low of a scoring game.
Well, like I said, I think you're going to have to. I think playoffs are a different beast, and I think you're going to have to take into account any nerves by not just Patrick Mahomes, anybody. And I think weather's going to play an impact, or going to have an impact in the AFC games this weekend, because the NFC's in LA and don't. But the AFC games, I think, are going to be impacted in the weather. And this game is going to remind me a lot of that Chargers-Chiefs game that the Chargers won, where it was 29-28. Yes, it's a little higher than 24-21, but that game, the Chiefs felt in control because they were driving the ball. They scored 14 points early, but it was long, methodical drive. And then if you watch the Colts, Andrew Luck likes taking long, methodical drives. I think what you're going to get is weather is going to be impacting some of these plays. I think I wouldn't be surprised if it's actually the other way around. If the Chiefs don't get a 7, 10, 14-point lead, and then they kind of maybe Andy Reid, maybe one of the coordinators start out trying to think themselves, maybe Patrick Mahomes, maybe the players, whatever, and then the Colts keep coming back, and then by that point it's just hard, because we've seen offenses that's been great in the NFL regular season hit the playoffs and just have a bad game. And if you look at the Chiefs' schedule, they never had that bad game where they just went out there and laid a goose egg. So maybe it's because it can't happen, but I think it can happen somewhere.
And they just never really played a tough defense, really. I think the toughest defense they played, they play obviously the Chargers twice a year, and then they play the Ravens, I think, which probably the two best defenses all year, even including that Patriots and the Rams, which both of those defenses are kind of subpar this year. But I mean, and they still put up a lot of points in all those games, minus the Ravens.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, at the time they did
But
the 30.
it's playoff football. Playoff football is totally different. It brings out the nerves in people.
Yep.
Yeah,
I agree with that point for sure.
They also played, and give me a second on this before you crucify me, because I know this is where everybody's going. They put 30 on the Jags when you thought the Jags were respectable. When the Jags had just beat the Patriots, and everybody's like, "Oh, they're somebody." The Chiefs beating them 30-14 is what made them come out and beat. Like the Jags never got it then.
Mm-hmm.
So when we all woke up the day after that game, that we thought they had just beat the best defense in the NFL. You know, Chicago hadn't came into complete form yet. They were still trying to gel. The Jaguars hadn't fell off the cliff. But yeah,
Minnesota was struggling.
Yeah, to your point, I guess the best defense, especially hindsight, 17 weeks later, was the Ravens, and they did put up 20. They beat them 27-24. So I don't know. I just feel like we're in a different game, and I don't know. I could be way off. It could be 38. It could be another 45-42 game. I'm just feeling 24-21. And to your point, Billy, I guess for argument's sake, if they win the Super Bowl and the defense goes on one of those good defensive runs, would that not save the coordinator's job?
No, he's gone.
I mean, is he Gary?
He's gone. He's horrible. He's horrible.
Well, it's because he's either going to have to play if they beat the coach tomorrow. He's going to either have to play the Chargers or the Patriots. Now, the Patriots offense is not that great, but it still has Tom Brady, and it could pop at any minute. And then in the Super Bowl, they're going to either have to play the Eagles and Nick Foles, which we can kind of see their offense. They can score some points. The Saints, which we know can score some points. The Cowboys, who can put up points if you allow that to sit back there and have all day to throw the football. You know, and you don't stop Zeke. That could be a long night. And then who is I'm trying to think of the other team that's up there in NFC that we're going to talk about.
Rams.
The Rams, who we know can score points. So if they buckle down and they win a Super Bowl, and people are talking about, well, that defense stood up, yeah, I think that's the only thing that could save his job.
All right, so let's move on to the Saturday night NFC game. We got the Cowboys traveling to L.A. Billy, we're starting with you. Who wins? Wow.
This is tough, honestly, and I went back and forth on this. I started doing my notes last night, and I woke up this morning, and I almost picked the Cowboys. I honestly did, and that's because I don't know which Sean McVay we're going to get tomorrow. Are we going to get the Sean McVay that only gave Todd Gurley 20 carries over a 3-game stretch? Obviously, he was hurt in one of those games, but only had 10 carries against the Bears. Came out that next week against, I forgot the team, and only gave him 10 carries again. Or we're going to get the Sean McVay from the first 8-9 weeks of the season that didn't care how many carries Todd Gurley get. Because I think that's going to be the difference in this game. I like Jared Goff, but what you can't do in this game with that front seven for the Cowboys is let Jared Goff try to throw the ball 40 times a game. I don't think that's going to work. So if we can get the MVP Todd Gurley from the first 9 weeks of the season, the Rams win. So I'm going to pick the Rams, but this Cowboy team really scares me, especially in this matchup. It really does. I'm going to be honest, but I'm taking the Rams.
And I'm going to echo pretty much everything what you just said there, Mr. Grand Hefe. The Cowboys' front seven is a very strong part of their team. We saw that when they played Seattle. The Seahawks kept trying to run it into that strength of that team, and you saw what happened. The Cowboys came out on top. And I think that is what the Rams are going to do to start the game, and they're going to shut down because they aren't getting the big chunky yards that they are used to getting with their number 30. And then Sean McVay is he is such a great mind that he's going to try to outthink himself. He is going to try to pull some plays that they did against Kansas City, let Jared Goff kind of throw the ball. And that is where they're going to fail because Jared Goff is not going to be able to really push the ball down the field and really do well because that is not the strength of his game. Their strength of their game is to give the ball to Todd Gurley, let him get 5 or 6 yards, and then let Jared Goff dink and dunk over the top 1 or 2 times for some big yards. When that running game gets shut down by that Cowboys front 7, that changes everything that they want to do. And I'm going to keep with my trends here. The Cowboys they have lost 5 straight divisional playoff games, and they're going to break that streak. And the Cowboys are going to go into LA Coliseum and beat the Rams by 6.
That is a bold strategy. So I can't go that route. I think this is it for the Cowboys. You know, we talk about the Rams offense. I'm actually going the other way around. I think Jared Goff and McVay like to get the ball past that front 7. They like to get the ball into the secondary. And if you've seen what the Seahawks did, now the Seahawks took a really long time to get their run game going. So it was pretty late into the game before they tried to take some shots. But when they did, it worked. And I think the Rams see that. So I think what they're going to try to do is their version of the run game is going to be get Todd Gurley the ball behind the linebackers, dump it off to him and then when they start trying to spread out, they can run it up the middle or take those shots that are clearly going to be there in that Cowboys secondary. The only thing that the Cowboys can really hope for is that Zeke goes nuts. And that if Zeke goes off, kind of like he did against the Seahawks, that Dak doesn't need to take shots. If Dak doesn't have to take shots, Zeke's going, they can control the clock, they can keep the ball, they can pretty much control the game. Then you put Goff into some unknown territory. But if Goff comes out and McVay comes out running the game plan that he wants to run, I don't think this game's going to be close.
Plus, you're going to go Brandon Cook. Oh, my bad.
Oh, you're good. You're good. Good finish. I was just going to give my final score 38-24 Rams.
I was also going to say to your run point, even if the Cowboys D-line shut, Todd Gurley down running the football, they still do. This is the thing with these type of offense. They always have one fast guy that can get the run game going by way of pass, and that's Brandon Cooks. They, look for Brandon Cooks to be active today. He's going to be tired by the time this game is over with. They're going to tunnel screen him. They're going to bubble screen him to death. Plus using him in the pass game against that Cowboys secondary that's really not that impressive. So if you can get the ball to Matthew's point behind them linebackers, I think you got a really good shot completing that ball in front of the safety or behind the safety.
And I mean, to another point there, Goff is third in the league in average yards per pass attempt with 8.5. He's behind 2 other quarterbacks at I think 8.6 and 8.8. So he loves to take his shot. Now, if you can get him taking the wrong shot, it's going to do good for you. But typically,
it's almost like Tua.
Yeah, but typically the way, and this is where we've had these debates, Billy. The reason I give Sean McVay a lot of the love on that is because Jared Goff loves to take the deep shot. I think Sean McVay does a good job of having different route combinations so that the deepest, most available shot is typically open. Because if you throw a long shot wrong, I mean, it's up for anybody. There's so many things that can change the trajectory of the ball once it's out of the hand. It can go anybody. It could be tipped. It could be you get time for defense to make a play. But I think typically it's either overthrown or he has a receiver so wide open that it's a touchdown. So it's typically kind of a safe play. That's why I think Dallas isn't going to be able to stop him if he gets going.
And just to add to some points there, Matthew, I don't think Zeke is the key for the Cowboys this week. Like, I think the Rams are going to key on Zeke and pretty much shut him down, leaving Austin to really have a great game. His first name slipped in my mind, but he is a great speedster guy, just like what Hatton was alluding to. You are having a wide receiver that is basically an extension of the game on the ground, and that's exactly what Austin is going to do for the Cowboys, because the Rams, I think, have Zeke circled and say, we don't want him to go off. We want Dak to put us down. And Dak is going to dink and dunk to Austin. You have Beasley as well. Hopefully he is healthy, because I know he has a high ankle sprain in, but he should be back and good to go. So they have two.
You're
wide
never healthy
receivers
with a high ankle sprain.
Well, true, but healthier than he was. Than he was versus the Seahawks.
Agreed.
I mean, but to your point, those are two things that really don't mix. It's like fire and gasoline. If your run game isn't going, a lot of times dinking and dunking makes it worse, because you don't have anything to relieve that pressure. And that's why I said this on Unpopular Opinion on Wednesday with Billy. Every team in the NFL has a flaw remaining. Every team other than Dallas's flaw typically is their defense. If their defense messes up, they're in trouble. And every defense remaining other than Dallas has been pretty suspect during certain games. But Dallas's main flaw is Dak. But Dallas is the only team that their flaw doesn't have to show up. Like, every team's defense has to come into the game in these playoff games. It's going to have to take the field. You just can't do that unless you get every onside kick ever. But you're going to have to put the defense on the field. If you run a good run game and have good success with short passes, Dak doesn't have to be the centerpiece. But if you take that run game away, typically that box is loaded, those flats are covered, your dinks and dunks aren't going to help. And now you're looking at a 3rd and 16. Now you got to rely on Dak.
Those dinks and dunks will help.
I think the Cowboys lose.
Those dinks and dunks will help because they will bring the safeties up, and you have Amari Cooper up over the top. It's a perfect storm. Yeah.
To my point, but to my point, you do have Amari Cooper over the top. But if Dak doesn't make a good pass, that's picked off, that's incomplete. You're punting on 4th and 16. Once again, we're relying on Dak.
But then you rely but then you're relying on the other side of the ball, the strength of your team right now, to basically do the same thing for the Rams as well, because they're going to take Todd Gurley out of the game. They're going to force the Rams to dink and dunk, and then hopefully they complete a big pass up over the top. And when these teams do that, like if they're like if the both teams are doing the same thing, I think I have more faith in the Cowboys and like Amari Cooper to catch two or three big passes up over the top versus anybody on the Rams.
See, if you load the box and if you bring the safety down to stop the dinking and dunking against the Rams, you're in trouble, because you're not going to be able to stop Woods and Cook and Reynolds. You're not going to be able to stop that in the secondary. If anything, I think they play off a little bit and make Goff make precision passes for slants and curls and ends and digs.
He'll get impatient, and then he'll want to force the ball deep.
And then it's fine if you're the Cowboys, but if you load the box against him and try to stop Gurley, you have nothing.
We don't have to load the box.
So you're going to stop Gurley without loading the box?
Yeah. Stop them with their front 5.
That's absurd.
They've done it before.
That's absurd. You're not. When did they stop Gurley by loading the box?
I'm not
Who
saying
stopped Gurley by having 5?
I'm not saying him, but they've done it before, i.e. the Saints.
Okay. But Philly, help me out here. The Saints aren't. What the Saints do with their run game isn't the same as what the Rams do with theirs.
And I wouldn't necessarily call Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara Todd Gurley either. I mean, Mike, I agree. The front 7 have to stop Todd Gurley, but there's no way they've only put 5 in the box. And Sean McVay is not saying, if you don't give it to 30, I'm going to fire everybody. I don't know how you do it with just 5, Mike. Not Todd Gurley, who sat out the last 2 or 3 games of the week of the season and had a bye week. I just no, Mike.
I mean, to your point,
I would say there's some rust on that though. A little bit of rust on it.
No, to your point, Billy, if they're not giving the ball 30 and there's only 5 people in the box, Sean McVay's going to come out there and take the snap.
Yes.
Sean McVay's
Yes.
handing the ball off. So
There's no way that Jared Goff is going to see a 5-man box and not just want to give it to 30 every single time. I just don't see how. You're
Cowboys
blocking
front four
a
are pretty
man
strong.
for it's a man for a man, Mike, and then it's
Yeah.
just Gurley just picking a hole.
And then
And
one-on-one
then
with
if
Van
you're
Rish,
relying on-
I'm giving Van Rish the nod 75% of the time.
That's
1-on-one
fine,
against
but
Todd Gurley, you're going to give.
I'm
him the
taking
nod.
Todd Gurley. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I don't.
in 3 years, maybe, but today, please,
Yeah,
I'm the Rams.
1-on-one,
Please.
1-on-one. I take Todd Gurley, the guy who tore his ACL and then came back and still ran a 4.4. That guy, he's probably even better now. I don't see it. I don't.
We'll find
This
out
ain't
Saturday
Mark
night when the
Ingram.
Cowboys beat those Rams.
Well, I mean, then we'll talk about that on Monday's show. But as of right now, before that's happened, the evidence right now that looks like that would be a bad idea. Now, to steal from Nike, it doesn't. It hasn't happened until it does. So if it happens, then we'll be like, well, darn, I guess Vanderbosch or whatever his name is one of the best linebackers out. But until that happens, I think that's an absurd idea, and you're just going to get run all over. But all right, moving on to our Sunday game. We do have, back to the AFC, we have Chargers traveling all the way across the country for another 1 o'clock game. Mike brought that up last week. Didn't really matter if the Ravens, but they're not playing the Ravens this time. They're playing the Patriots. We're going to start with you, Mike. Who you got? Or they're playing the Patriots. Who you got? Why?
Yeah,
Chargers, Patriots.
I'm going to have to go with the trends here. It's just the story of my show for today. I believe Philip Rivers is 0-7 versus Tom Brady all time, 0-4 in the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken. Patriots have won 8 straight divisional playoff games, as well. But this is a trend-breaking playoff round. I'm going to have to go with the Chargers. I am liking what they are doing here. Philip Rivers is now 3-0 when traveling to the East Coast in the playoff games and playing that early game, and I think he becomes 4-0, breaking the curse against Tom Brady and the Patriots, and we just see the Patriots kind of hit that wall. They are at that cliff, and I think they finally get pushed over just that tad bit, and we no longer know the Patriots like we once knew them, like the last 14, 15 seasons. I really expect Melvin Gordon to have a big game. I look for him to have 20 to 25 carries, $130 on the ground, 2 scores, and Philip Rivers hits Gates for 2 touchdowns. FanDuel points there.
Yeah, I got the Chargers as well. I think the Chargers are the better team. I thought they played better football all year long, and we talk about it all the time. Had it not been for the Kansas City Chiefs, them being in the same division with the Kansas City Chiefs, they would have probably had the first round bye and be playing the game right now in LA. But I think they're the better team. Derwin James is going to have a big game today. They're going to have him all around that line of scrimmage. He may be chasing Julian Edelman around, especially now that there's no Josh Gordon. There's no guy to just take it off the top, or he may be guarding Gronk. That may be his assignment. But this guy is going to have a big game. He's going to be around the quarterback. He's going to be around the football all game long. Melvin Gordon, to your point, I think he's going to also have a big game. Those receivers, they can make plays against the Patriots defense that's been suspect all year. But one thing we know about Bill Belichick is in the playoffs, you see a totally, totally different defense. Also, you're going to see a totally, totally focused Tom Brady. It's not going to be easy, but I think the Chargers come out with the win. I think Rivers get his first win against Brady.
You know, I'm going to call it almost like I called the Kansas City scenario. I think weather's going to have an impact on this. And more than – if it snows a foot in Kansas City, it's going to be chaos because Patrick Mahomes hasn't really played in snow. The Colts don't like the snow. It's just going to be chaos. But if it snows a foot in Foxborough, it's bad news for the Chargers because that's what the Patriots love. That's what they do. I mean, you go back to every playoff run, all the big playoff games where it's just been like extremely lopsided. It's just been either the wind, the rain, the snow, the climate. It's just that's what they thrive in. If it snows a lot, the Chargers, in my opinion, are going to have a very, very rough go. Because, yes, they got Melvin Gordon, but if you can't really get the pass going, I trust Belichick front seven to stop the run game. If it snows a foot, Bosa and those edge rushers and Ingram lose an edge. If you can't get the Chargers to put up 25, 30 points, then you allow Tom Brady and Bill Belichick to run that methodical offense that they want to run. If Tom Brady has to put up 50 points, then it's just Tom Brady slinging the ball around. He's 41 years old. Those weapons aren't impressive. Gronk's pretty hurt. He's always hurt. It's the play for the rest of his life. That's when I get concerned. But if they only got to score a couple touchdowns or go on a couple decent drives, and there's no really time constraint, I'm okay with that. I think the weather's going to play a huge part in this game. I think Gronk is going to be injured, but I think it's okay because, Bill, your point was James is going to take away Gronk. I think with Gronk's sake, Gronk's going to take away James. Gronk's injured. I don't know. Gronk's just been kind of a shell of himself this year. I don't know how much of an impact he was going to have anyway. So if you can have their best defender being stuck on him, that means there's some other holes being created because their best guy is on Gronk. I'm going to go Patriots 28-14 over Chargers. Final score.
Just to add to your point there, the weather in New England is supposed to be 35 and sunny on Sunday with a 0% chance of rain or snow. So I don't think weather will be too much of a factor.
But I also saw a report last night that it's supposed to 6 to 8 inches of snow. So it's weather. I mean, obviously it could easily be sunny and 35, but I heard it's supposed to snow 6 to 8 inches Friday night. So I don't know. And Belichick likes to do some pretty borderline shady stuff. I could very easily see the ground crew not touching the field until like the last minute and doing the least possible to get that field ready.
Yeah, I just think Derrick James. I mean, he's really positionless, and I don't think he'll be on Gronk all night. They send him on blitzes. They make him guard the slot. They make him guard the tight end. He actually plays safety. He plays linebacker. He's going to be something everywhere. I don't know if Tom Brady's mobility, which is the reason why I think Derrick James is going to be playing up on the line of scrimmage a lot more. Tom Brady's mobility may end up hurting him this game.
But as we've learned, you cannot pick against,
especially in the snow.
Yeah, I mean,
again.
But just as long, I'm still going with the Chargers, but you still can't pick against Belichick and Brady in January. But I'm still going to go with that route. But it's going to be a very, very good game. Very, very good game.
I will give Billy a point on that one because your best way to do is to have James come in at Brady, or at least have him not knowing if he's going to cover Gronk or come to Brady. Because if Brady's going to notice if James is just hopping receivers, and he's going to go everywhere James is not. Because they've had some injuries in that secondary. They've had, I think, one of their best corners. They tore his ACL at the beginning of the season. So there's some other liabilities in that secondary. You just never want to go there with James. And if Derwin James is just hopping positions, I think Brady's going to pick up on that. If he hangs around the line of scrimmage and then is able to use his athleticism to hop back into coverage or blitz, that's where I think you could see Brady struggle because he's not going to be able to know. He may try to dump it off to Gronk, and here comes Derwin James busting backwards, showing blitz, but dropping back into coverage. That's when I think you're going to see Brady struggle. So it'd be interesting to see how they use those. Moving on to the last game of the weekend. Surprisingly, a lot of people didn't pick this. Maybe you did. I think the Eagles was feast or famine. We got Eagles going to New Orleans, play the Saints. Billy, we're starting with you. Who you got? Why?
I think this is where the Foles magic run out. I got the Saints winning this game. That's been my Super Bowl pick all year long. Why would I want to change it now? Seeing how the Philadelphia Eagles got past the Chicago Bears, which really wasn't a good team offensively, unlike that game against Mr. Trubisky. Drew Brees is gonna be putting the ball in the air. 29, whatever his name is, Michael Thomas will be on him all night, and he will abuse him all night. Drew Brees have a big game in the Superdome. I say 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. I think Kamara have 2 touchdowns, 1 rushing, 1 receiving. I think Mark Ingram will have another touchdown. I got this. This is probably the biggest lopsided win I got of all the divisional games. I got the Saints by at least 17.
All righty, Billy.
Michael, so you.
So I actually have Philly written down here on my sheet of paper, but I've been going back and forth on this pretty much all week. Sean Payton and Drew Brees has never lost a home playoff game when they've been together. But something about that Foles magic. I rooted against the Foles magic last week versus the Bears. I rooted against it all last year when they made that Super Bowl run. So Nick Foles he's going to come in on that, like, on his magic carpet, riding into the Superdome. Don't have to worry about the wind, the rain, none of that. And I think Philly's going to come in and beat the Saints. Finally, keeping my trend for the picks. They're going to give Sean Payton and Drew Brees their first home playoff loss ever. And I just think he's going to have a great game. Like, his stats will not jump off the page at you, but he will do a lot of the little things right, managing the game, dinking and dunking it to the right guys, and keeping the Saints offense off of the field at the end of the day. And that's the only way they'll have a chance is to keep that offense off the field. But I'm going to go with that upset special. Give me the Philadelphia Eagles in this one, dethroning the Saints. That's all I got.
So I'm on to Mike's little trend stopper here, and I guess this is the kind of thing with sports. He's picking certain trends, but with that being said, other trends will continue and now develop and grow. If the Cowboys kick their trend, then the Rams trend, or if the Cowboys kick their trend, I forgot what there was one trend I was thinking of earlier that the Rams will then now continue. If the Rams losing in the early rounds of the playoffs, which is like 6 in a straight, I believe, going all the way back to early 2000, that trend will continue. If Brady's trend stops, then Drew Brees' trend of going across time zones against being undefeated on the road, that trend will continue. If Drew Brees' and Sean Payton's trend ends, then the Foles magic trend will continue. So you are canceling one trend while at the same time adding fuel to the fire of another trend. So, I mean, are you really canceling all the trends to end here, Mike? That's a real question. The real trend I think is going to end is Mike finally on Foles magic, which means Foles magic's truly going to end. He just told you he hated it all last year, and he hated it at the beginning of this season, and it worked. Now that he's on board, it's over. No, I do think this is going to be a good game. I think Drew Brees is going to have a huge game. I think you cannot beat the Saints indoors in New Orleans. I'm going to take the Saints 45-38. I don't think that defense shows up. But what I will say, if the Eagles win, I don't know who's stopping them, man. Because you beat one of the best defenses in Soldier Field, and then you beat one of the best offenses in New Orleans. You pretty much beat both ends of the spectrum.
I think
you've already got a team
do not allow them to get into the playoffs because they're going to be the most dangerous team. We said that 2 weeks ago.
And this is the only team that we can't. This is other than probably Tom Brady. This is the only team we can't say, oh well, they haven't done it before, because most of the players on this team has done this before. They did this last year, Nick Foles included. I think the Saints are going to win. I think Foles magic is over, but I'm scared if they don't, if they win. But my final prediction, 45-38, going to the Saints.
Matthew B., just before we move on here, if all of my picks hold true, like I'll have the Chiefs versus the Chargers, Cowboys versus the Eagles. If the Cowboys versus Eagles happened, are you ready to say that the NFC East is not the worst division in football?
No, I mean, just
how
no.
How are they not the worst then? Or how are they the worst then? I should say.
Because I'm still not sold on Dallas. Like, dude, unless there's nothing Dallas can do to change my mind, and maybe that's the hater in me, but Dallas is not a good team to me. And obviously, I maybe because I can't fathom them beating the Rams. I just even if they beat the Rams and they get to the NFC Championship, I'm just not sold. Because I feel like it's other teams shooting themselves in the foot. It's not them winning; it's the other team losing. I'll give it the Eagles are good, but you just can't have one team. I still think they're the worst, and then you still got the Redskins and Giants still running around here like a chicken with their head cut off. Maybe it's just a hater in me. I can't change. I still think they're going to be the worst no matter what comes.
If you're using
Billy,
that, if you're using that logic, wouldn't the AFC East with the Patriots be the worst in? Because it's been the Patriots and then everybody else. You know, they've historically been horrible.
But I mean, I think the bottom of that division is better than the bottom of the NFC.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, it's my opinion. Like I said, I will gladly go on record to say that I am blind. 25% of my division understanding is blinded by hate. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, even if the Cowboys win the Super Bowl, I'll never give them that prop.
Yeah,
so,
I definitely understand. Yeah, it's all good.
So, anyway, that's really it for the show. It's our 4 main games. It's really what the sports eyes are going to be for the next 3 days. Any closing thoughts? Any closing opinions? Billy, Mike, anything?
Go Nose.
Always is. Mike, you got anything?
I really hope that Kansas City does break this home playoff losing curse, especially versus the Colts, because I believe the last time we played the Colts in the playoffs, we were up by 21 or 28 points. And the Colts came back and beat us by 1 point at Arrowhead. I really hope we just give it to the Colts hard, early, often, and even after the game. Just give it to them, give it to them. 56-10.
And I wonder, it'll be interesting to see how these games play out. Because especially on the AFC side, out of all 3 of our picks, and Mike, you can deny it if you want, but I'll be honest about it. I'm trying to be new and honest, transparency here. Billy's is probably the only pick that's not guided by emotion. Unless you want to consider his dislike for the Patriots an emotion, maybe. But you, for example, Mike, you need the Chiefs to win. Like, that's number one priority. They can be playing the 85 Bears, and you're rooting for them to win.
Right.
I'm sure if you had your druthers, even though they'll both be at home, you would rather play the Chargers than the Patriots.
100%.
Me, I obviously don't want to lose to the Chargers. I want my Patriots to win, but I don't want to go to – if I had my druthers, I would rather the Colts, who struggle against Patriots, come to Foxborough than me ever step foot in Arrowhead. Demons and bad mojo and all, let me stay at home. So it'll be interesting how this plays out. I think Billy's was the clearest mind picking those AFC picks.
Just to be fair, I really did want to pick the Colts because I think they are like the Eagles. We shouldn't have let them into the playoffs, and like now that they're in, they are in here to make noise. And what better way to make the most noise by beating the number 1 seed at Arrowhead for the 5th time in their playoff history. So watch out.
Well,
that's going to be it's going to be a very good game.
I don't take much away from the Colts because the Colts went out and flat out earned it. Like when the Colts and Titans played, there was nothing that could have kept the Colts out other than them losing. I guess if the Cleveland would have beat the Ravens, some other like a lot of dominoes would have had to fall. But the one that just cracks me up is the fact that if the Bears hadn't beat the Vikings, it was just one game. It was one unnecessary game. The Bears did not need to play 100% that entire game. They didn't need to. They chose to, but they didn't need to.
They didn't want to let the Vikings.
They played 100%. They beat the Vikings. Yeah, I'm sure it was that divisional rival. There's nothing better than sending your rival home, but you made your own destiny because then you had to turn around and play the team that you let in. Because it didn't matter if the Eagles won by 1,000. If the Bears had lost to the Vikings, the Eagles aren't there.
Right.
And they played their butts off. They played the entire 60 minutes. They lost. They won the Vikings. They lost to the Eagles. I find a lot of humor in that. It's one of those things where you don't know until you know. But that's it. Billy said go Nose. Mike thinks the Colts probably could win, but his heart's saying Chiefs. We'll visit you on Monday with our recap, see who was right, who was wrong. That's it for RTF. We're out.
Go Chiefs.